KJ, I was looking up your bio earlier, man, and I couldn't pronounce the long name.
Mhm.
Where is Ypsi, Michigan?
Ypsilanti, Michigan. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
Ypsilanti, Michigan. It's right next to Ann Arbor. It's like 5 minutes down the road. So it's like right next to Ann Arbor. We say like 30 minutes from Detroit. So it's
So
right next to
you're, I always find it interesting when someone's from a near a college town where they don't end up going,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Because I grew up in Roanoke, Virginia, and I went to University of Virginia, which was an hour and a half or whatever
Hmm.
away, and you go to Buffalo from there,
Right.
and then obviously transfer to Miami, you get drafted, whatever.
Yeah.
The mindset of a kid that grew up next to Ann Arbor and doesn't get to go to Ann Arbor, what did that? How did that affect you?
I feel like so when I my senior year I actually went down to IMG in Bradenton, Florida. You was in Tampa.
Yeah,
Are you in Tampa now?
yeah,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
yeah,
So right down the road from you. Yep. So that's where I was at going into college. But I didn't have a lot of offers and things like that. So Michigan actually never recruited me. Eastern Michigan never recruited me. Eastern Michigan is in Ypsilanti, Michigan. My sister was born across the street, and they didn't recruit me. I never got a letter or anything. And so it was Michigan State that recruited me, and they wanted me to run a certain 40 time and all this type of stuff. And then again, I ended up going down to IMG, and then it was Buffalo, and that's where I ended up.
You know, it's funny. My connection here. My wife, when it was still just Bolletari's
Yeah,
tennis academy,
yeah,
used to go there in her summers, and now it's like this monster. But she
huge.
talked about it being like a couple of buildings
Yeah,
back in the day.
and rest in peace to him. He actually just passed away maybe like a couple of days ago, and so
Yep.
he was a legend, man. I was IMG that changed my life, and I got so many different friends and lifelong friends from there. So my condolences to him and his family.
No doubt. That's I was with some IMG people a couple of days ago at an event, and they told me he wasn't doing well,
Yeah.
so they knew it was coming. But he started something great.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a great avenue for guys like you who are obviously overlooked. I mean, you're playing in the NFL now, obviously overlooked, a place to go establish themselves, right?
Yeah.
But my most, I guess, important question about your because you're still young. I mean, you're only what 25 years old,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The most important question is about your mindset, and it's going to translate to your career now eventually here. But the question is your mindset when you come out of an IMG and you're going to a smaller, so let's say smaller school in Buffalo, the motivation that it gives you, or the drive that it gives you, or more importantly, how to not get down on yourself. Because I mean, our world is set where your Instagram, your huddles,
Right.
everything puts you out there as like this top 5 or 10 recruit, and if you're
Right.
not them, nobody cares.
Right. Right.
So you were the opposite of that, and yet you're
Yeah.
still finding success.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. When we went from IMG to Buffalo, although it was high school to college, I went with my best friend Tyler Mabry, played for the Seahawks now, and it was almost like we were going like almost down because the facilities at IMG, what they
Yeah.
were, and we were like the Alabama high school football and everything like that. We were at the top of the top. We were number one in the country, and all types of things. And then we went to Buffalo. It was in the MAC, and people didn't respect the MAC, and all different types of stuff. It just wasn't like a Miami or Alabama or whatever. And from high school, that's kind of where we were at. So we just went in there and we grinded, man. We know like there's so much talent in the MAC that
Right.
people they come to see. I mean, you see there are guys all over the NFL that's played in the MAC, and so we went there. We just had a mindset to work, and that's just kind of what molded us. It was kind of just a blue collar mentality. It didn't kind of really matter like where we were at. We were still gonna make our dream come true. So I kind of carry that all the way to today.
I was gonna say, how's that blue collar mentality working for you right now?
Oh yeah, this the same thing, man. Every day, just working. No matter what the hype is about, or the people around you, and everything like that. Just controlling what you can control, and just showing up to work, just keep on working, and things work out for how they're supposed to.
All right, let's talk about hype because you're on a team that's 10-2,
Yeah.
right? Y'all, I mean, you can wash the NFC North right now.
Yeah.
Nobody else has 5 wins, right? Y'all
Yeah.
doubled everybody's win total, but there's a lot of expectations, right? With a good start to the season, I mean, we're more than halfway through now, obviously, but with a good start to the season, there comes this expectation, right? Talk about not only your personal expectations, but your team expectations right now. You know you're going to win the North, right?
Right.
How do you transfer that into something much bigger than just the NFC North?
Right. So, I mean, kind of like you were saying before, this is my third year in the league. So, this is my first years we didn't even make the playoffs. So this
Right.
is a whole, a new experience for me. So, I'm leaning on my vets, Pat Pete, Adam Thielen, Kirk, Dalvin, all these guys, to, continue to help us, show me the ropes and kind of, having this type of success. Adam texted the receivers this morning, like, and I've heard a lot of the vets say, these seasons don't come around, often. 10-2, and be able to win a division this early in the season and things like that. So for me personally, I'm just going to try to continue to do what I've done. We are 10-2, so just try to keep stacking and continue to try to be a better player and a better teammate every single week, and go out there and put my best performance on that I can. And the rest will fall where they may. Like you said, we're 10-2. Just try to keep on, winning out these games. Then when we get to playoff time, it's a whole different season. So I'm definitely excited. But I think at this point, as far as the expectations and the hype and the respect, whether we get it or not, and all the other stuff, that's outside of our control. So just trying to do what we've done that's got us here, and that's just continue to stay at our standard and keep on working.
Well, that's definitely the right answer. But I looked at the lines. Like me and my brother have a gambling show.
Yeah.
I looked at the lines, and y'all are 2.5 dogs.
Yeah.
To 5-7 Lions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be a sense of, and I truly believe championship teams assume this mentality. But there's got to be a sense of us against the world, right?
Oh yeah.
Whether it's whomever you're going to play throughout the rest of the season, but you have to assume that mentality of nobody wants us to be here, right?
Oh yeah.
Are you
They
guys kind
don't.
of feeling that right now?
Oh yeah, for sure we do. I mean, it don't matter what we like. People want us to win how they want us to win. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the win column or loss column, it's win or loss. It don't. There's no bad win. If you win, you win. And we've done it 10 times. I mean, we went to Buffalo down. I think we're down 17, and that's who everybody was talking about to be the Super Bowl favorites. A fantastic team. They played us really tough. We played them tough. We come out and we beat them, and people still doubt us. We like, dang, like what's going on? So at this point, we want people talking about us at the end. We don't really care about the favorites and everything like that. None of that. None of the experts can go out there and play for us or for the opposite team. So at this point, we don't really care how they talk. We just want to be talked about at the end. That's in the Super Bowl. So.
You know what? That's the game. That's the game where I said, okay, yeah, they're good, but man, they could be special,
Right.
right? Because and to y'all's credit, you kind of sent them on a little downward spiral. Buffalo hasn't been as good since that loss, turnovers or whatever. It just kind of speaks to the balance of the NFL. I mean, the NFL feels much different now than when I was playing, where there were dominant teams. You're like, oh, I got to build myself up.
Right.
I was just looking at something the other day, and there's a question at the end of this. More games than in the history of the NFL through this many weeks have been decided by one score.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
You guys
9-0.
9-0. 9 of your last 10, right?
Yeah.
By one score.
That's crazy.
So, what is it about the Minnesota Vikings? You can be specific to Kevin O'Connell. You can be specific to Kurt. I mean, you can be specific to yourself. I know you had the game-winning touchdown last time you played Detroit.
Right.
But what is it about you guys that makes you able to win those type of football games?
Man, I think we just have a really good team. Like, we complement each other so well. And like last week, we come out, we're up, pretty big on the Jets, and then offense kind of stalls, and then special teams, they've been holding their own, and then defense with multiple red zone stops, when we need it. We like Coach be saying like we play our best when our best is required, and when defenses, if they've given up some points, offense, we can score just one more point. Thanksgiving, we had a kick return, and like we just really play like good complementary football. And I don't know why the games be close, and that's not a goal, but because even us, inside our locker room, like we still feel like we haven't played our best game. A complete game, all three phases, where we play that super dominant performance that everybody is wanting us to see. That will be more reflective of our record. Maybe like Green Bay, our first outing. But other than that, like, I think we just have a really good team, man. We have each other's back, and when our best is required, like you said, these one-score games, we pull it out. On top of, I will say, our coaching and KO, we have a meeting. I've answered this before with a couple interviews. We have a meeting every Friday called Situational Masters, and so we go over every other team's situational masters. What happened at the end of the half? What happened at the end of a game? This how this can happen, and time management, and if this would have happened, and they would have had 3 seconds left, and the game would have been over. They got this extra 3 seconds to kick a field goal. So like we all as a team, we understand that stuff. So we're in these situations. Like I said, for us to be able to be 9-0 in those games, we understand the importance of time and what the situation is, and I think that's helped us as a team, be able to, be like, critical at those crunch times, I guess.
Love it. So you go to work every day. You're in a room with a guy who, if he stays on track, is probably the Hall of Fame caliber type receiver, right? Justin Jefferson. Everybody knows the numbers he's put up. I want to know what it's like to be the guy next to the guy in that situation. I mean, obviously you have a role, right? I know what your role. I mean, I know you have a chess piece role. I've heard you describe it as that. But what it's like to go to work every day with a guy that you know is great.
Right.
I did it for a lot of years with Derek Brooks and Warren Sapp.
Yeah.
You know this guy.
Yeah.
You were.
Did you play with Keenan McCardell?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's always open.
Oh yeah.
7-11, man.
I'm gonna tell him that in the morning. I might not be able to tell him that.
Yeah. But he believed it.
Oh yeah.
He believed it. So yeah. Just what's it like going to work with the guys like that, or being you in a situation where you're surrounded by greatness?
Man, it's fun. It's fun, and me and Justin, our relationship has grown so much. We came in together. We trained for the combine together. Before we were even drafted here. And I seen him come out of LSU. Obviously a fantastic player, and he came here. And like the first 2 games, he wasn't really playing like that. Like he was only playing like a couple snaps. And the third game against Tennessee, they're like, they were gonna start him. And my dad and my parents and my mom, they were calling me like, "How you think Justin's gonna do?" And I'm like, "I think he's gonna do really good." I said, "I'm not gonna lie to you guys." I said, I play with some good players. Being in the NFL, we respect players, a lot, and but sure. I'm like, he hasn't played yet. I haven't seen him, but I said I think he's gonna do really good, though. Like I said, I think this guy is really good, and I think he went out there. And I think he almost had 200 yards, and he had the gritty touchdown. It was legendary and everything like that. So it's been really fun to become much closer with him and see all the hard work that he puts in, and he's just really special, man. I can't say. I mean, he's really just a gifted kid, man. If you see what he does every day, out at practice, and the catches that he makes, and how he's able to move his body and separate and things like that. So to be able to be in a room with him and becoming really close with him, it's been great to see. Great to see his growth. We learn from each other. We talk. We talk football. We study things like that. So it's really special to see, and I'm happy to be a part of it with him. And we joke around when we see Break the Bank, we go throw our phone at the TV. So yeah, but it's definitely fun to see. And then all the confidence in the world. When we see the ball go up, that he's gonna come down with it. So it's been good to see. It's cool.
So aside from physical talent, right? Because you know what physical talent looks like. He has that, right? Um, I'm interested in your take on how do you become you yourself, not in general. How do you yourself become great in a different way? Because you're not as physically talented as JJ, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got your own skill set. You have a different type of things that you do for this team. How do you differentiate yourself from not only him but from the rest of the NFL's wide receivers? Because I
Right.
mean that's what defines greatness, right?
Right.
That's when you do stuff that are uncommon to the position is
Right.
when you start differentiating yourself. What
Right.
does that mean for you?
For me, well, number one, I think is me being my hardest critic. When people talk about expectations, like the media and things like that, and coaching, I'm like, there's nobody in the building or probably on the earth that has higher expectations for myself than me. So, I'm very real with myself when I'm watching my film. Probably maybe a little too hard, which is, you know, whatever.
No
But
such thing.
right, right. So like, I'm trying to be the best player that I can be. So I'm really hard on myself, and I study, and I go back and see, okay, like, what do I need to work on? And I think it's for myself, it's just really just hard work and studying. I take a lot of different pieces from people's games. Like I said, I'm working with JJ. I have Adam in the room. Coach McCardell's in the room. There's different receivers. I watch, daily, but weekly throughout
Yep.
the week to see, what they've been doing, and, how they've been running routes. And I try to just put all that stuff in my game, man, and try to just continue to get better every day. So for me, I think it's a mindset and a consistency in how I work and my approach. And I feel like when I put myself in that position, um, you know that helps me to maximize the gift that God has gave me, and then how can I add my 2 cents in, and to try to make me be the player that I want to be, that I'm growing to be. So that's how
All
I
right.
see it.
So through 12 games in 2022, you got 30 catches, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talk me through your favorite catch so far this year. Your favorite one, not the touchdown and the game winner. Give me another one. Give me.
That
I'm gonna
was
make you work here.
all right,
Like
all
you
right, all
had to
right.
run a route. You were in a matchup. You were running through a zone.
Mm-hmm.
Give me one that I can go back and find on my Exos and be like, okay, I know what he's talking about.
Okay, I think there's two, but that one, the play before the game winner, I had a far cross, and I'm going against Mike Hughes. Mike Hughes played here in Minnesota,
Yeah.
and it was a far cross, and I'm getting across the field, and so we're like switching, and it got real cloudy over there because I'm kind of like trying to weave my way through traffic, and Kurt threw it in a really cloudy window if you look at it from the
Yeah.
quarterback perspective, and he trusted me, and I turned my head around it, and I was able to kind of get out the cloudy window, and be able to set up the game winning catch, and then that was the next play where I sold the same release, and then was able to come back outside, and I was able to create that much separation, but it was really from the play before, kind of trying to sell all my routes, make them all look the same, like starting attacking down, and then being able to create that separation. There's another play that I've scored on twice. Well, the first one got called back in London, but I scored on it.
They still count. They
Right,
still count. It's on film.
right.
It's
And
on film,
I
man.
scored on it again, and against Arizona at home, and it's like a switch release play, and we had been working on it. I mean, since training camp, we hit it against our defense, we hit it against the 49ers in the joint practice. So it was like we had a lot of time, put it on this play. And then, like I said, we got it in London, we got a touchdown, and it got called back. So I'm like, we've been running that play since the summer, and then we finally in a key situation. It wasn't like time expiring game winning touchdown, but it was the go ahead touchdown to win the game at home against Arizona. Kurt threw a great ball in a really tight window. I was able to drag my feet, and so that was pretty dope too.
Yeah, you mentioned Kurt. Yeah, you talk so fondly about him. I love Kurt. I've
Mm-hmm.
been a fan of him since he was in Washington and overcame those, drafted with RG3 odds, right?
Right.
Um, what is it about him that makes his teammates love him?
Yeah. I mean, he's a good person. Like, if you don't know Kirk, like, he's very, a down to earth, really good guy. He's a good family guy, like nice, clean Christian man.
Right.
Just a really good dude. And then, but when it comes time to work, Kurt is locked in, and he works his butt off. I'm leaving on Friday at the facility at 3, 4 o'clock, and if I'm getting out of there later out of my massage, Kurt is always still there. I pull up in the morning, Kurt is the first one there, so he puts in so much work, behind the scenes, to prepare himself, to be able to lead us. And that helps me. I watch from the background. I'm always walking past the quarterback room. He's always in there. All throughout the summertime, you see all the notes. I'm like, man, this dude loves the game. Like, he really loves the game. He studies the game, and it helps me, and it makes me want to, make me be more as much as prepared as he is. So I'm like, I know Kurt is prepared, so like, I want to try to like match his intensity, or or match how he prepares. And I think his preparation helps him so much to see things on the field before they happen, or be able to can a player or whatever. I think that's helps what makes him who he is, and be so accurate how he can put the ball where he wants it, because he knows what's happening out there.
Right. That's when I was playing, I had too many guys like that. Hardy Nickerson at first, and then obviously Derek Lynch. All those guys were my example of how to be, I guess, a pro.
Right.
And then on top of that, because I wasn't as talented as some of them, I was like, I'm doing more than that.
Right.
Whatever that took.
Right.
I kind of feel that mentality off of Kirk, because he's like, nobody really wanted me out of Michigan State. I'm second quarterback drafted by the Washington team.
Right.
And I had to wait till RG3 gets hurt before people realize my value. And I appreciate guys that come through the ringer like that.
And I appreciate it too, coming from him. Like you said, I'm in a crowded room with with Adam and Justin, and we added on TJ, and we got Dalvin. We got a lot of miles, and there was a lot of expectation and things like that, and so things can go up and down and things like that. So that's what Kurt's career has been. I've never heard him talk about it. He gets a lot of hate for what I mean. He's 10-2. He's winning, and people still doubt us because we don't know about Kirk Cousins, and it like. And I've never seen it. I've never seen him flinch at it. I've never seen it bother him. I've never seen him, like they say, don't let him see you sweat. I've never seen it ever bother him. And he goes out there. He's the same guy. He prepares. He's confident. He's consistent. And he plays his game. And that's one thing that I super duper respect about him, because I'm like, some guys you see, they get two messages that you suck, and they fold. And he's out here playing great football. So that's another thing that I love and respect about him so much.
He might secretly like keep all that inside.
Right. But I've never seen him not a bit. So I'm like, man, this guy is strong, man. Because like I don't know. He all he does is go out there, and he does his best, and he leads us to victories. And people still don't want to respect and give him his respect.
Respect is taken sometimes, right? You just
Man,
gotta take it too.
I joked around with my friends. I'm like, if we win the Super Bowl, I'm gonna talk so much trash for Kirk. They not gonna hear the end of it from me.
You will have the right. That's all that matters. All right, you got anything for me, man?
Oh man, I gotta ask you something. What are some things that some pointers you would give me as a year 3 guy? Going into year 3, with expectations and how the season is going and things like that. Like what was your mindset kind of around this time?
So our careers somewhat are parallels, because I was a 3rd round draft pick, but kind of lower expectations. That didn't play at all my rookie year. Had some success my 2nd year. My 3rd year, a little more success, and then I started to really come on, right? But the one thing that I appreciate about your attitude right now is I don't think I had your attitude when I was in year 3.
Yeah.
Like I put a huge chip on my shoulder because I thought everybody was against me, right? It didn't hurt me, but it also didn't help me, right? Because again, I was in a room with Donnie Abraham, who had just gotten drafted the year before me. I think he was the highest rookie interception total that year. John Lynch was in that room. Charles Mincy, you won't know these names. Charles Mincy, a couple other like big time players were on this team, and I couldn't find a role.
Right.
I didn't have a role.
Right.
And so it made me realize, to the point that I said earlier, go do something uncommon, right? Whatever it takes to be different from Justin Jefferson or be different from Adam Thielen, and define KJ Osborn as he does this really well all the time. And no matter what tape I put on, if I put on tape from his second year when he started playing to his 12th year when he finally retires, he'll be that guy.
Right.
That was my mentality. That's what turned me into the player that I ended up being. And it was during your kind of right where you are right now,
Right.
is when I decided that I need to be uncommon. I need to do uncommon things so I could be uncommonly great. And I don't think anybody told me that. I think it was just me being upset about my situation and wanting to not see failure.
Right.
And any amount of success wasn't enough success. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, yeah, Justin's good. I'm gonna find a way to be better than Justin at something.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever that one thing is.
Yeah.
And and then the next thing you know, you look up and the career was what it was. But it starts now. Like, to me, it starts right where you are. You're at the point where your career is either going to take off or it's going to level out, and you know what happens when it levels out, right? You know that.
Yeah.
So whatever it is to be different, go do that. And I know you will. Your attitude's right. I can tell you go out to perfect your craft every day at practice.
Right.
That's really that's all you can do. Study yourself as much as you study your opponent, because your opponent really doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Right.
And then you'll be great. And the next thing you know, people are like, damn, you remember KJ Osborn? Yeah, I remember when he was a second year guy, and now he's one of the best that ever came through. Right. That's the mentality.
Appreciate it for that. That was great. Another question I have is, how did you find ways to get better like during the season? Because I feel like a lot of times you have a season, you can watch all your tape, you go work on it in off season and whatever. And I'm at a space right now. It's like I want to get better like during the season. So I'm coming out to practice way early. I'm staying way later. I'm halfway trying to be smart, halfway saying I don't care. I need to get better. I'm gonna deal with how my legs feel, how my body feel, whatever. So like, how did you find ways to get better throughout the season, not just the off season?
That's a great question, because it's easy to do in the off season, right? You got all the time in the world, right? You just do you want to start in March, or you want to start in May, right? That's right. During the season, what I always did, besides going to practice every day with a purpose, so I wasn't ever really very good at playing on the line of scrimmage. I just wasn't. I never did it in college. I don't have long arms. I'm 5'9.5". I'd go out every day and try to find a way to be a little bit better in bump technique, right? And just for that part of practice, find out what works for me to be a good bump technique guy.
Right.
The latter part of practice, all right, my pedal and my film when I watched the other day was a little off. Like, I don't know if it's the start or if it's the finish. Something's off. Like, I'd go work on that.
Right.
And so even while I'm going through the X's and O's of the game plan, at the end of the day, I'm really working on myself, right? I never went through the motions.
Right.
Like, it was always purposeful practice. And whether it I got beat on a play or nothing, it didn't matter, right? To me, that was just practice.
Right.
Like, okay, now I know I can't get away with that in a game. So there's that. I think you can overwork yourself if you try to like go out early or stay late. You really do have to take care of your body.
Right.
But it's about what I said earlier about perfecting your craft while you get a chance to perfect your craft, because you only get so many reps, man.
Right.
That's the hard part
about
getting better during the season. You don't get enough reps.
Right.
Especially if you're trying to God, man, I got a long arm corner. I need to find a way to get free from this dude. and you're going up against a guy that's 5'8" in practice.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how do I work that?
Yeah.
So it's just finding a way it's finding ways to work your technique while you're working to get ready for the game.
Yeah. And that's good for me to hear, because what I've been doing also is just like taking like notes of like, all right, I want to focus on these things today. I want to focus on these things, and it'll end up being 5 things. All right, like let me just do 2, or let me just do this one thing, and
that's it.
Going out there and practicing that, and even like the look team DBs, I'm like, play me for real. Like I need to work, and I'm like you said, the X's and O's, but I'm trying to get better. So that's good. That's it. That's good for me to hear too.
That's it. That's it.
I think my last thing as since you were a DB, what was the most thing that kind of made you uncomfortable, like when a receiver did, was like closing the space or selling vertical, or like what made you like uncomfortable?
So it actually you probably won't be able to relate to this, but it has to do. I was such a student of the game, and we played a lot off coverage. I only had 1 year where I didn't have an interception, and it was a year that we played. It was Jim Bates. We played almost exclusively on the line of scrimmage, so my back was always to the quarterback.
Right.
So I never got to see the ball.
Right.
So I studied the game so much that I perfected every week. I perfected quarterbacks 3-step, 5-step, and now pass. All their drop 7 steps, and so in my head I could eliminate routes.
Right.
Like, bam, bam, not run this, not run this, not running this.
Right.
What terrified me is like a quarterback getting 5-step and running like a 7-step type of route, like the route. And I'd be like, because in my, does not compute, right?
That's not what's supposed to happen.
Right. I was like, oh my God. And it's the same thing with you. Like, you see a guy who plays cover forward, the same way every single time. And you come into the game, he's like, hey, he's not bailing in cover forward today. He's actually pedaling in cover four. He's playing me on the line of scrimmage. They're playing cover four. So like things like that. But you find a way to adjust to it. Obviously, then you just go back to being honest.
Right.
But I made a lot of plays in my career by understanding like their rules, what the offense's rules were. And if I could take advantage of their rules, knowing how to do my job, I was going to make a lot of plays.